On today's episode of This Old Whorehouse, Psycho Bob's Garage, FAFO Racing, we're going to talk about the brakes and what I'm going to try to do before I go buying all new stuff. So I already had the stock brackets off the back of this Eldorado modified to take the Ford big ends. And after thought about it, the reason why I couldn't use the stock rotors was because this is a hair bigger than the rotors will take on the outside diameter. And so I got online and I found brakes off the back of an IROC, an 88 IROC. I found some real cheap ones. They got shipped this morning. Should have them by the end of the week. So what I'm going to do is modify the bracket, cut this open so it'll slide down over the axle here. And then we'll see what happens once I get the rotors. The only part I see I might have to do is cut the bracket right there, put in an extension on one side or the other, and then put spacers to push the caliper back. But I think because the Ford ends are so far back, now when you're dealing with the Ford style brakes, how far back it goes before the rotor is way back here. So the kits, you have to shim them back, but because I'm using a GM actual rotor, it's not even spaced back half that far. So if it ends up right here, this is going to be about exact. We're going to know when I get the rotors. I figure I'd give it a shot and just see how cheap I could get away with doing these brakes. Just because it ain't that I'm cheap, it's just my escrow is upside down and I had to pay that, and I need this done. I can always flip the brakes out later. These will work. And something else you should probably be aware of if you do a project like this that people don't understand is the brakes either need to sit at the 3 o'clock or the 9 o'clock position. And the reasoning being is mainly just to bleed the brakes. Because if you put it straight up, like let's say I had machined this out and now it fits on like this, you can't bleed it like that. Or if it was like that, the caliper sitting straight down, you can't bleed it again. It's just not going to bleed right. So you got to be in one of those two positions or really close to it. You don't have to be exact, but it's got to be either to the back or the front. I like to put them towards the back. That's how how they were on most cars, like my kids' Impalas that way. And we'll see. I'm gonna cut this open, put it on, and then I'm gonna get to the carburetor. I'm not gonna make videos of the carb today. I'm just kind of cleaning it up, getting it ready for everything. I ordered all the parts for it. I got 2 new base plates coming. I told myself no more Chinesium parts, but after looking at all the base plates, the cheapest ones I found were the ones I actually wanted, and the only reasoning being because there's no vacuum ports on it at all. So all the vacuum ports got to go if I'm going to do blow through. So it is what it is, and it'll work out a little better. And we'll see what happens. Like, subscribe if you like what I'm doing. You can comment in the comments section. You got any comments? You want to see something? Let me know. But I'm going to cut this open, bolt it on, and I'll show you that after I get it on. Alright, so it's on, but it's going to take some fine tuning once the rotors get here. Here's the stock rotor. They made it it's just a hair off in the like a 1/16 of an inch too much on the diameter of this. Hopefully the IROC rear rotors, they look bigger in the picture, so we're going to find out. The only difference between these rotors and the ones they sell in the kits is a 1/2 inch. These are 10.5 and those are 11 and a quarter, so 3/4 of an inch, my bad. This gives me the parking brake too, whereas the kit's online without spending a lot of money. They don't have it. And I'm going to have to open the hole up on this. It's catching the bearing and causing the plate to twist. So that's going to take me 2 seconds, but you see how it's on there now, and it looks like it should work pretty good. I wish these rotors would have worked, because they make them and slotted and drilled. And then the Corvette front end, that C4 front end that's up there, they make all kinds of crazy stuff. The big upgrade for those is to upgrade to the C5 brakes, which are, I think, an inch bigger. So I'll probably do that. Man, I'm getting there. I wasn't planning on doing this, like I said in the video that I'm going to stitch to this one, the first part of this, but it's money, so it is what it is. I'll do what I can, and if not, I'll have to spend the money. If I can't make this work, I think I can. We're right there. It's it should work. This shouldn't have an issue. Just a half inch, a 3/4 of an inch smaller on the rotor, but it's still the same thickness on the rotors here to contact. It's just, you got less in the circle. So I'm not sweating it. It's the rear anyways. 70% goes to the front. And we'll make those big and bad. I'll try to find some cheap C5 upgrades, calipers. I was actually looking at, I found some Brembo brakes off of ATS Cadillac, like a 2015, 2017, somewhere around there. It was a CTS, or ATS-V, but I was looking at it, and I think I could modify this bracket to bolt them to it. And they're 4-piston. I found some for a 2017 Brembo rear calipers off of a Mustang that were 6-piston, but the pistons were really itty-bitty. So when you look at the Cadillac one, there were 4 big pistons and then versus 6 small ones. So it's, a dozen of one, 2 half dozen of the other. We'll see where we go. Like I always tell you, like, subscribe, follow. You got some buddies into this that are just, it's not that we're cheap. We're frugal because we have to be, because parts are expensive, and it is what it is, but I'm going to make it work. Alright, I think I got every little piece of this finally figured out. So, you see this? That little bit of play there? I know my hand's jerking with the damn phone. Hold on. It's about maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to have to make a shim. A hair probably 30 thousandths deeper than what this is to fit inside this bracket. A little bit of recess it's got, so this plate can push on it to hold the bearing where I need it with a little bit of load. And then after I was looking at that, I was like, okay, I started taking measurements of this rotor, which is going to be real close. I'm just hoping the inside's bigger. And here's what I found was, so this lip right here, right, as thick as it is right here, won't touch the rotor. But if you look, it angles back out towards me, and then here. The rotor's going to come to about right here. And what these do is help steady the rotor when you're hitting the brakes going forward or backwards, so the rotor doesn't twist. I can keep these, but it's going to have to come up to about somewhere in here. I got to cut it in and then cut it back to where it first angled, and it's got to be straight with the rest of it. And so I opened up the hole. It's sitting nice and flush now. It's exactly how it needs to be. This isn't so bad. However, if you're not any kind of fabricator, this is probably not a challenge for you. But this shouldn't be too bad. It's just going to be a piece of, it's going to look like a C, because everything that bolts to this has to go over the axle. So the shim is going to have to look like a C too. It's going to have to fit over this axle here, because I can't just, force it over that bearing. I mean, I could have the bearing pressed off and pressed back on, but I am definitely not doing that. And then just set it in there, torque it all down, and we're good. The only other problem I might foresee having, and it's really not a big issue to me, but the way the calipers bolt on and where the rotor is going to sit, I think the caliper is going to be too far this way, almost like the width of the holes here. So it's fairly easy to me. I'll just drill the original holes out. What are they? They look like they're like a 3/8, 10 mil, somewhere in that range. So I just drill them out to 1/2 inch. And what I'll do is take a nut, a good hardened nut, and then I'll probably TIG it on the back of here so I can control the heat a little better to pull the caliper this way. And this will still be on, because we're only moving it to here. So